All right. Well, welcome to this episode of Fit Talks. I am actually really super excited. Today's guest is Melissa Dawn Simkins, and you may not know this, but she's known as the First Lady of Personal Branding, and she's the CEO of Velvet Suite and the founder of the She Suite, which is, let's be honest, that's a very cool name. That's a leadership platform empowering thousands of women to lead with purpose. Her clients include Fortune 500 companies, the NFL, and global organizations committed to building pressure-ready, purpose-driven leaders. Melissa's a best-selling author, media contributor, and mom of four, and she's on a mission to redefine success for women by fusing authenticity, strategy, and impact. I'm really super thrilled to welcome this powerhouse of vision and voice to the show, Melissa Simkins.
Hey, Greg, thank you so much for having me. This is going to be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. You know, when we first spoke, you stuck something in my mind that I'd like to sort of explore a little bit as we kickstart this. You said 94% of women in the C-suite played sports, and I thought that was astounding. And I'm just curious, did athletics play a formative role in your personal journey?
Yeah, it astounds a lot of people with that stat. And yes, absolutely. I've always been an athlete in mindset and also in body in different ways. So I've been a dancer, I was a cheerleader, I did mime, I've run, and recently, probably in the last 10 years, I did a fitness competition, so bodybuilding. And I think what I have fallen in love with athleticism is just the ability to see yourself do what seems impossible. And I go back to a client I had many years ago who played for the San Francisco 49ers. And I went to visit him and we were doing some branding work together. And I remember coming into his house and he said, Melissa, when I was a kid in high school, I'd get up every morning 5 a.m. to go to lift weights, before school started. And he said, I always would put on my mirror, I am the greatest cornerback. I am the greatest cornerback. And at the time when I worked with him, he was the highest paid cornerback in the league. But he's like, that wasn't accidental, right? That was with intention and a mindset. So I think that there's so much that we do as leaders that we look for applause. And it's really about the work behind the scenes, our mindset that shapes who we show up when we have to perform. And that's what I love about athletes because people applaud the public persona, but the reality of the daily discipline is what transforms them into real champions.
Awesome. Wow. I totally agree with you. It's the behind the scenes stuff. I'm curious, staying with the behind the scenes stuff, what were some of the early lessons that you learned in sports that you still apply to your practice today, to your practice as a leader today? What are some of those things that have followed you through your life?
I remember a coach telling me I've always wanted to be the best, wanted to, you know, show out and like really make an impact. And I remember a coach that said to me, she says, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And that will never leave me because at that moment, I realized it was about a team. It wasn't about me, right? It wasn't just about me and how I did that would determine our success. So that's one of the things that just sticks with me even today, is that when I see weakness or, people that need to be supported, it's like, if they're not winning, we can't win. So we've got to figure out a way to make that adjustment or to support, right? Because it's not just always about you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like that concept. I've actually applied that same thought though to myself, right? So like you're only as strong as your own personal
Mhm.
weakest link. So I go after some of those things to try to not have them be what shows up for me in a moment. But then from a leadership standpoint, I agree with you. I love that concept. I love that that still sticks with you. Good coaches, they ring in your ears for a while, don't they?
They stick in your head somehow.
Yes, they do. They do. Did you have any did you have any setbacks coming up in this that that forced you into your own state of resilience and come back? Like anything that sticks out for you that
None at all. Never had a setback. No, no, that's a joke. No,
wow.
absolutely.
Congratulations, you've just spoken with a perfect human.
Absolutely not. I'm like, which setback should I focus on? You know what? It's funny because one of the later on in life, I mean, I'm not talking about when I'm a kid, but later on, one of my mantras, Craig, has been, I stand on a mountain of no's to get to a yes. Like that is just a mantra that I've kept because I have dealt with so much challenges.
Can you say that one more time?
Stand on a mountain of no's, N-O, to get to one yes. And so I have dealt with a lot of resistance and a lot of challenges that have built resilience in me. And it didn't happen naturally. I'm naturally an introvert. I'm naturally someone who is not as confident as people perceive me to be. I wasn't born that way, but it was through the things that I had to go through, the challenges that I had to face. Which one should I pick? I think one of the first ones was when I was in my first day going to school. My family is from the Midwest. I grew up in North Carolina, so I call myself a Southern girl. That's where I grew up. But where I first entered school, my dad was getting his degree, and we were living in Indiana. And my first day getting on the bus as a kindergartner, I was so excited to go to school, and nobody, Craig, would let me sit down. We were in Bloomington, Indiana. None of the kids would let me sit down. I'd go to each little in the each place to sit. They would put their foot up. They would stop me. And the bus driver had to pull the bus over and say, let her sit down because my sister and I were the only Black children in the whole school. And so my neighbor called us colored kids. Like we had that kind of environment and experience. And so I I learned very early that I was going to have to own my value. I was going to have to own my voice. And that was one of the most formative moments that I recall where I was not accepted. And my mother taught me to say, you need to tell them you should sit down and your name is Melissa. It's not colored kid. And so at that early age, your confidence kind of gets snatched. And so those moments, one of many, right, through the course of life, going to college, getting your first job, getting fired, all those things, like you've got life that's happening. But that I think that was a formative moment where I realized like I have a voice and I'm going to use my voice. But resilience was going to be like in the cards, no matter what.
Wow, that is a really strong baseline perspective. I'm sure that's something that shows up in your thought patterns every day or often, which
Yeah.
which by the way, you said something that surprised me, that you are not naturally extroverted or whatever. I that is the opposite of the way that I perceive you. I perceive you as somebody I would love to hang around and be in a in a coffee shop with or hang out with. I see you as very that, but you just never know with people, right? It's
Yeah.
like you don't know.
Well, my passion is people. So people bring that out of me. But where I love to be is I enjoy people, but I love solitude. I love just going away and being in quiet. I mean, I really do find that it refuels me because I do
Good.
so much. But yes, yes.
Awesome.
But I'm still
Awesome.
fun to hang out with in the coffee shop.
I pretty much, that is a guarantee. There's 100% guarantee, and we're going to do that for sure.
Yes, we're gonna do that.
So you spoke about the power of physical discipline. In what ways does maintaining a fitness practice enhance your clarity, your confidence, and your and just give you a sense of control, and how, in terms of for women in leadership, how important is?
Oh, wow. It's something that when I'm on edge, when I feel like I am going to snap, whether it's because I am tired or because I realize it's because, Craig, I haven't poured into me. I haven't taken the time. That is my me time, whether it's a walk or run, whether it's doing some plyo, whatever that is, that's my me time. And actually, that's where I get my biggest ideas. My book titles have come to me. The athleadership platform that we'll talk about came to me on a walk. So when I started to realize this is not just something that is self care, it's strategy. Like there is strategy in this time for me, for myself, but it's strategy for what I do. And it's sustaining me through the long haul of a career because women have a lot of things we're juggling. So yeah, and when I start to realize I'm like, this morning I was like, I'm a little off. I was like, I didn't work out this morning.
That's awesome.
That's what it is.
That's awesome. So you literally coach and guide and lead yourself by putting yourself in motion.
100% motion because and the thing about it is, we're all after COVID, we're working in these spaces, we're always sedentary, we're in a place where we're still. And a lot of times, even in confidence, I talk about not having as much confidence when you begin to see yourself take motion, even if you don't have the answer, even if you don't know how, but you're just starting to take a step, make a call, write the note, pitch yourself, do whatever you need to have the conversation, book the meeting. It's just motion, and motion creates momentum, and momentum creates outcome, right? You must,
Amen,
you
sister.
must believe that.
No, I do. Actually, I'm kind of a word nerd. I love etymology and I love where words come from. And motion, momentum, movimentum, I think it is in Greek or something like that. I just probably screwed it up big time. But all of them link to the same thing and they're all rooted the same way. Motion is the whole deal. And then of course you have emotion, which is to get out, like to agitate and to move it out. And it's what we're surrounded by. And we get lost in that. And a friend of mine, best-selling author, taught me one time about the three states. We have an emotional state, of course. We have a physical state and we have a mental state. And it's very difficult to change your mental state and your emotional state on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
The one you can change very easily, even as we're sitting here, is your physical state. I can stand up, I just changed my physical state. And then when you change your physical state, you invite your emotional state change and your intellectual state change. And so I'm all about motion. I'm all about movement. In our company, the company that we're talking about, FinFit Life, we call it a movement because it literally is a movement. And that movement is what creates all kinds of energy around it. And so I love that you do that. You're putting yourself into motion creates more motion for you, and that movement brings you leadership, brings you ideas. I love that, Melissa.
It's so powerful, and it is the practice of it. That's the part, right? Because it shouldn't be this thing that just happens and it's like, Eureka, I just had this, but you can tap into that every single day, but it's the practice. It's the practice.
How do you help other women reconnect to their own personal power through their physical habits? How do you do that?
So I'll take you back to 2 years ago. I was coming off of surgery. I had struggled all of my life with endometriosis and the evil twin cousin or sister called adenomyosis. So, Craig, 2.5 years ago, this time, I mean, probably 20 days out of the month, I was in debilitating pain.
Oh, goodness.
There were some times I was sleeping in a bathtub, but I would
Mm,
still show up like this to you, right? So
yeah.
I was dealing with a lot of physical pain, which created emotional strain, mental drain. And I finally made the decision to have the surgery. And I said, Melissa, you're going to be a different person after you get up from the surgery, but you're going to need some help because you are an athlete, but I was 50 pounds heavier. I was just a different person and much more hollow because I had just felt I had lost so much. And I went and I found a coach. Number one, you need accountability and you need support and you need to find your why. At that point in time, it wasn't even about like, how do I look, whether I could fit in my clothes. It was about, I have to have a why that is, I need to come back to me. So I think women have to find their purpose and not a title or a job. I wasn't doing this to be a better CEO. I wanted to be a better mom and a wife, but I wanted to come back to Melissa, right? And that little girl that was back then, you know, that was just free and disbelieved. And so I had to come back to my why. And that was the why that allowed me to move through a very difficult journey of recovering my health, right? It was a long road. And now I just had my call with my coach yesterday and it's sustaining it, like, right? Keeping those habits, maintaining them, holding yourself accountable. Make a promise, keep a promise is what my coach Rael says. Like, did you make a promise to yourself? Did you keep it? No, I didn't. Okay. You got to come back to the promise. Don't beat yourself up. But so this is how it's life, you know. It's not perfect. It's never ending. We always look at, oh gosh, I didn't do this, or we beat ourselves up. I should have done this, but then I had to pick up the kids, and then I had to make dinner, then I had to do the clothes, and then my mother called me, and then my mother-in-law called me. Like all of these things are going, and we make excuses, even if it's 10 minutes, even if it's 5 minutes. If you didn't, fine, let it go, and then let's keep going.
I love that. There's a lot right there to unpack. I've got lots of questions, but what you just said is a really, really interesting thing. I've known lots of people that have been debilitated by endometriosis, and it's just this, I mean, it's around you so much, affects everything that is a normal part of your life. So I salute you for being the kind of tough, resilient woman that you are to endure that. But I'm happy to hear that you took some action to end that particular chapter of your life. So congratulations on that. And I love what your coach told you. I love that attitude of make a promise, keep a promise. Do what you say you will do with yourself. But because that's just really a simple, how do you win today? If you can do that, then if you can win today, you can win 3 days, you can win the week, you win the month, you win life. And that's, it's that simple, but you are an awesome human being. I like that. So let me just, we had talked a little bit about what we're about at FinFit Life. And you struck a nerve with me when you said you needed to come back to Melissa. You needed to come back to your purpose and come back to your why. It wasn't about title or CEO. It's nothing wrong. You're a competitive human being. You probably want to lead and be successful, and you are, and worthy of that title and that respect as well. But there's something much deeper, and you said it, which is coming back to you. My career has been in a lot of the kind of business I'm in now, which is a recruiting and building business. And very often, the large majority of the people that are in our business are women. And I've been in other channels, not just financial services. And it is women really just re-identifying, just finding their voice again and finding their personal power and their purpose. And because they've been a mom for a while or a wife for a while, and they want to come back to them. So this is a very interesting thing. How do you personally align physical, mental, and financial well-being in that context?
So that's a great question. It just hit me. So within my framework of leadership, I'm about building champions, and champions are MVPs, and we call it MVP, mission, vision, purpose. So we have a mission, vision, purpose statement as our company. We train others to discover theirs. And one of the lines in my MVP is that I believe that I want to be time wealthy. And when I say time wealthy, to me, what ties into the mental, physical, and I also believe spiritual. Spiritual is very important to me, and I'll talk about that, is this idea of the limitations of time. Like no matter how much exercise we do, no matter how much hard work we do, no matter how much we try to be perfect and get it right, we all have a expiration date. It's just, it is what it is. So what helps us not live with regret is what we do with the time that we have, right? So we can hopefully slow the clock down by how we take care of ourselves, how we take care of our finances, how do we take care of our businesses and the things that we steward, so there's something that we can have a little left over at the end of the month to enjoy life, not just work, right? And then I think also our spiritual element is very important. I'm a woman of faith. I'm a Christian. That's very foundational to me. But the foundation of faith and belief is huge, because if you can't believe that you can get up and do this work for FinFit, I mean, if you don't believe it, well, who else is going to believe it, right? So you've got to have that sense of a faith identity too. That, I didn't start this business in October, will be almost 20 years old. Wow. So I had to believe this to even be here today having this conversation with you, right? So faith and belief is core to a leader's ability to create a vision that other people can't see yet. So all that being said, for me, the time wealthy piece is about stewardship. It's about how do I make the most of whatever time I have, because I can't control the clock, and how do I do something that I can have a little something extra to enjoy the time that I have, right? Not just work it all, but live it all. So
I love that. You're speaking so many wonderful, beautiful, fundamental truths through your life experience. And there are timeless references to Benjamin Franklin, who said stuff like, you love time because that's the stuff that life is made of. And to be time wealthy is a form of freedom.
yeah.
Freedom, I think, is innately and divinely interwoven into our DNA, and we seek it. And time freedom and money freedom and relationship freedom and purpose freedom, they're all things that everybody wants. The question is, do they take the efforts to get there? Are they brave enough at times, and are they disciplined enough? Do you have examples? Do you have examples of women that you've coached who transformed in some of these areas of their lives, and it's rippled across their lives?
Oh yeah, yeah. In the work that we do under She Suite, we've had over 1,500 leaders graduate from our institute, which is a very high bar, and they're in 26 different countries, and they talk about how they've been able to not only accomplish their goals in their careers, they've talked about how they've coached and developed their family, their children, helping them start their nonprofits. I have one young lady I think about right now that was in our magazine, and she talked about how she supported her daughter who was in college and wanted to create a nonprofit. And she said, here's what's your mission, vision, purpose. Let me help you create that. Here's a template to do so. I had one young lady talk about how she was negotiating time with her husband and the painting of their countertops in their kitchen. And she used some of the tools to be able to negotiate what she needed to get what she wanted to have happen at her house, right? So that to me is, Craig, my greatest joy, like seeing something that I created and that God gave me as a gift and seeing it multiply in people's lives and like the application and that it lives on. It's actually one of our vision is that this is a generational model that will outlive me, it'll outlive our business. And so, yeah, there's tons of examples that I can give you.
That's that's beyond awesome, because that's a form of legacy and immortality that we all fantasize about immortality. We see things about Thor. Well, like, I don't know why I pulled that out, but we see these things about immortality, and it seems like really important. And I think we all want to be remembered.
Hmm.
I agree that human beings, we want to be remembered because in just a few generations from now, we will be forgotten more than likely.
That's right.
So the best immortality that we can have is maybe for a couple of generations by doing something meaningful and good. And what you just said is you have these 1,500 women around the world that just needed to be in your presence, to be sparked, to take action. And that's a really noble thing, Melissa, to be able to own that. I love that, and I'm.
I think I was going to say too, I don't know, I mean, I can be a motivational force, but they needed the tools. They needed the
Yeah.
playbook, right? Because one of the things that I wanted to come back to, I'm working on a book and I just started working on it a couple of weeks ago. But one of the chapters I was talking about was freedom. And so when you said that, it just really clicked in me that that's ultimately what we all want, but often we are trapped
Mm,
in our own life that we created.
yeah.
And we have a hard time getting out of that. And unless someone gives you the tools, if you're talented, if you've got it going on, like the women leaders that you have, they have no shortage of people asking them for to help to do something, right? So suddenly you're great, you're talented, you're making an impact, and everyone sees it and they want some of that. So how do you get out of that treadmill?
Mm.
Right? It's not my motivation. I give you tools so that you can restructure your life to define success on your terms. No one gave me those tools, right? That is what freed me to create the life that I felt was going to empower me to do what I'm here to do, right? Which is why I'm talking to you. But I didn't have the tools, Craig. That's what I'm saying. I didn't have the tools. People gave me motivation. They didn't give me the tools.
It's a really important thing in our FinFit Life community. We're all over from Puerto Rico to Hawaii. We've got some folks in Canada, and we're expanding. We're going to be expanding more globally. In our community, we talk quite a bit about mindset, skill set, and tool set.
Mm.
You have to have the three pillars in order to exercise whatever it is. It's the same concept as be, do, have, right? What do you want to have? What do you have to do? And who do you have to be? And that applies to what's the mindset of that? What
Mhm.
skills do you need to optimize? And then what do you need to supplement from other people? And what tools do you need to leverage to get there? And you're speaking that language, and that language is crystal clear to me. And so when I meet people like you, I'm so drawn to your power. I'm so drawn to your vision, and I'm so drawn to how you do it. And what I love to hear is how you are creating that for your constituents.
Yes. Yeah, I will say that we're spot on in terms of what you just said with the toolkit, right? And We call it mindset, skill set, and we say relationship set. And that's the other piece, that you've got to have the right people. That's why we connect, right? We connect with the
Yes.
people. So what I will say is the model that we are really excited about and talking about, you mentioned earlier, is athleadership. It really blends the elite mindset of athletes, right? That the mindset of an athlete to be resilient, agile, well-being, all of those things. And it fuses it with, like, what do people need that's missing in leadership today? They need to know how to lead when it counts, under pressure, and when things are changing. A lot
Yes.
of the leadership toolkits have been built on episodic. Come to
Yes.
a class, come to a workshop, come to a conference. That's great, but then I have to come back to real life. In real life, again, in real life, it doesn't always work that way. So, how do you empower people to lead at the speed of change in real time, in real life? And that's what we believe is missing. So, athleadership becomes that approach that helps people do that. And it really, to me, has been the secret sauce of what's helped me to still be able to do what I'm doing and still love it, like, and actually get up and enjoy it. Right.
I know you do. I can see it and feel it, and anybody who's watching this can see it and feel it as well. One of my new favorite terms, and it's an old term, and you just said it several times, because it makes me think of when I was a little kid. Because I said it when I was a little kid, and you're saying it now, is in real life. I
Mm.
love that term because when you were a little kid, you were like, well, in real life, and if you're watching TV, you're talking to a person next to your loved one, and you're just like, well, in real life, in real life is a is an awesome statement, because that's exactly right. You can play out all kinds of ideas, but you have to be agile, is the word you use. You have to be able to pivot in real life, because
Mhm.
leadership is is like custom tailored, one person, one event, one sequence at a time. And you know that you're dialed in on that. So
Mhm.
I have a question for you. So, you transitioned, you said it's 20 years old. You transitioned from corporate life to launching the Velvet Suite,
Mhm.
and which then gave life to the She Suite.
Mhm.
And I'm still obsessed with that name because I love that name. What was that mindset shift that helped you make that leap? What
Yeah, you know what? I realized I was an entrepreneur. I've always been a creator, always been a visionary. Before I had a real job, I had a small business. I was cleaning houses. When I was in high school, I was in pageants, and I was my local city pageant girl, and I started a nonprofit.
are you still in pageants? Because you
No,
could be.
I'm not. I'm
Come on
aged
now.
out, Craig. I'm aged out. But thank you. But no, I started a nonprofit for my high school friends to called Remember to Extend a Caring Hand, and I organized kids to go volunteer. It was kind of part of my obligation as the county queen, but also was my passion for people. And so it's just been this thing that I've always been like, oh, I got an idea. Let's create something. So entrepreneurship was where I realized, like, Melissa, entrepreneurship feels scary, but actually you're creating already. It was one of the first in corporate America at Procter and Gamble to build entertainment marketing many years ago, and before a lot of social media and influencers. So I was always creating and organizing and getting people around a vision. So the mindset shift was, you've done this before. Now I was still scared. I still didn't think I had what it took. Right. And I actually made a decision that said, Melissa, you're going to have to, I did all the things, Craig. I saved up money. I got a business plan. I got a coach. I got someone to come live with me. All the things. And I finally said, Melissa, you just got to do it. Just got to jump. And I jumped 3 months before I was vested in my corporate job. And then people are like, why did you do it before? Because I knew if I didn't do it then, I was never going to do it. And I'd been planning for years and years and years. It felt like years and years, probably about 2.5, a year and a half. But talking about it, you talk and talk forever and tell people you're going to do stuff, and you never do it. So I made myself do it at a time when I had a lot to lose, and I just did it 3 months before I was vested.
You Cortezed it.
Yeah.
You lit your boats on fire and said, "Ain't no going back from here." I actually I respect that. I have absolutely mad, wild, unabashed respect for that. You came out of a pretty plum situation, because the PNG any PNG people that I've ever known, you go through some rigorous leadership training. So the best of the best come out of Wharton and whatever, and they'll end up at places like PNG. So you had a path. You had a really clean path. So it takes an enormous amount of bravery to light those boats on fire and step in.
But you know what it was? It was purpose. I took time. I wrote my
Yeah,
first mission purpose statement at that time. And I said, this is a great job and I can have great purpose here, but I feel like there's something else I'm supposed to do.
amazing.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. What would you say to the woman who feels called to lead but is stuck in comfort?
I would say that the best thing you can do for yourself is give yourself space and quiet to hear your real voice, to step out of the noise and not what everyone else is saying you should do or you could do or what you have become, and really get close to yourself. I think one of the things that we know in marketing, and you know this, Craig, and probably sales too, people do business with those they know, like, and trust, right? We often don't know ourselves, we don't like ourselves, and we don't trust ourselves.
Ooh, ouch.
We don't.
That's a that's a flip on the
Yeah.
old one.
So we're not ready to do business with ourselves. We're not ready to do the hard work of asking ourselves the hard questions. Why do you continue to show up for this relationship, this job, if it's not giving you what you want? Right? Do you trust your
Wow.
gut? Your gut has been telling you this for 5 years, but you don't trust your gut.
Mm,
So
wow.
those are some hard things that we got to get to that place where you can get yourself to be out of your comfort zone. And I say that the key, what people don't realize, I'll give you what you see. What you see is a woman who's very confident, but my confidence comes because I have confronted my comfort. And I
Mm,
watched myself do the thing I thought I never could do. And it turned out okay. Maybe not perfect, not the way I thought, turned out okay. And I'm like, you know what? I did that. I got this, right? So it's one of my catchphrases is I got this or you got this. It's because you watch yourself do hard things and you get yourself out of your comfort. And then you're like, that wasn't so bad. And I survived. And actually, I did pretty good. So I can do this. I can handle this call with Craig. I can handle this, right? You move yourself because you start listening to yourself.
well, you are just by doing this call with me, you are gifting me with your energy and you're doing that for everybody that watches this. And you're sharing your path to confidence, which is in fact that's the thing. The energy that people pick up on, that know, like, and trust, if you know, like, and trust yourself,
Mhm.
that shows out in you as confidence, and people react to that. We're looking for that. We're always looking for that. We're always looking for the light in your eye, and because we sometimes we need to borrow it. I guess my question, because we just came off of a big convention event for FinFit Life, and the number of conversations I had around confidence, there's so many, and women are often told to lean in, but a lot of them still struggle with the imposter syndrome. Many people do, not just women, but women really do. And what do you feel are your best tools for building authentic confidence that you talk?
Number one is knowing your voice and getting familiar with it. So it does start with a lot of times we've missed our voice because we've been so distant from it. Next is beginning to put voice, meaning express what you do believe and think. A lot of times we are, for fear of rejection or like we don't fit in, we're going to hold back. Like this idea in the business meeting is not a good idea, but if I say something and I'm going to be the only one that gets called out for it. And then finding your allies, finding the people who will support and partner with you and see the value in you. I've had women who've been great mentors, but a lot of my mentors, even today, are men. And so our big scaled customer, 2008, was the NFL. I had pitched an idea, Craig, 2 different times to different leagues, and I got a no. It wasn't until a man who worked in the NFL said, this is an idea we should do. And then I got the opportunity, right? So that's not a bad thing. It may not even
No.
be a gender thing. It's about proximity and trust.
Yes.
So finding the right people who can bring their credibility, their cachet, their reputation to you because they believe in you, but they can't believe in you if they don't know your voice, right? So
Yeah.
it all connects.
Yes. Yes. It does all connect. Do you have you had the make a promise, keep a promise, which is a social contract with yourself.
Yes.
Do you have a mantra or a practice when doubt creeps in for you?
It happens a lot. I have a lot of things I say to myself, but when doubt creeps in, I say, "You've got this." I say, "You've got this," and I just tell myself again and again, "You've got this." And what does that mean? it means you give yourself permission to take the step, right? Take the
Yeah.
move. It's your move. Just go. I'm an A type person. So then I'm like, well, what happens then? And what happens then? And what if it doesn't work? And I have to slow myself down. You just got this. Just
It's very powerful. For the record, I have a "You Got This" sign in up on above my bookshelf in my apartment. I only have a few signs on the wall.
yeah.
Some are a big one that says "Good Vibes," like whatever. It's just to remind me.
That's right.
But you know what? You know what I do have? I have probably 40 or 50 handwritten papers. It's not an ideal scenario if you want to beautify your home. You wouldn't love that, but for me, I have all these directional things, and "You Got This" is one of them. So I'm in complete alignment with you. I
Yeah.
understand that's a little bit of hype language, but
Yes.
it's also proof because you have gotten this
Yeah.
before.
And the other thing I'll add to that just reminded me of that, that's a really good that you do that, is I remember, and I still have in my folders on my email, an encouragement or a folder that I would keep from people who validated that was a good
Awesome.
idea. So I'd go back and read that when I was questioning myself, right? Other people see it in you, Melissa. See it in yourself. Yeah, you got this.
Yeah, it's so obvious on you now. You do got this.
Mm,
You'll got this for the rest of
mm,
your career because you've gotten it enough times now. We have so many women that are coming into our business that maybe haven't got this a couple of times yet, and they don't have the experiential and currency to draw on. And so they have to like tell themselves they got this and move themselves to believe that. What would you say to someone who is just making their foray into trying something for themselves to add value to their family or to re-identify themselves, or they're coming out of a bad marriage or whatever? They're they're breaking out.
yeah.
They're making their way,
Yeah.
and they haven't got this before.
Yes.
What do they need to power on and create success for
Yeah.
themselves?
I would, one of the things that and I'm just, as you're talking, thinking about in those moments when I've done that, is I've changed my identity as an explorer. Like, you don't have to have the answer. Just go explore, try it out, and create this is the power and the crazy of a mind, but it's like, create this opportunity that you're going to go explore and learn, and versus I've got to have it right and I have to know it all. You're not, we never do. But if we create ourselves in our mind that we're exploring, we're learning, we're taking on new frontiers, then you come at it from a perspective of curiosity. You come at it from a perspective of growth. Like, the out success is growth. Success is new relationships. Success is, I've now have a new tool or a new skill that I didn't have before. And you take the pressure off of having to know it before you start, because you won't. You just don't know it.
You that shift, I'm convinced that the greatest things in life have always been right in front of you, but it's like a little angle, it's a little shift. And that little shift that you just even put in my brain, I could feel thinking about it, taking the attitude of going to explore. So like I was going to ask you this question, that networking is really powerful. And you just said having relationships. In fact, you even referenced the man that led you to the NFL. Obviously, that was a strategic relationship with proximity to the right people to make the right decision. And you leveraged it, which is awesome. And networking is very powerful. And women, this is a broad statement, but women tend to be better at it than men, for sure.
Mhm.
But it can feel transactional. It can feel awkward. What do you think is the best way? And I think you just answered it with the explorer mentality, but what do you think is the best way to build genuine strategic relationships?
I had someone 2 days ago say to me, "How do you have these relationships?" She literally asked me, says, "I just noticed who you're, how does that happen?" And what did I start the conversation with? I'm an introvert, but what I am genuinely interested in is people.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite first job of all of my jobs was, I worked in the mall at Watchworks, and I got a chance to watch all the people. I
Can
really
you
don't know.
change the battery in this thing
I
for me?
think I probably could
I
still
know,
change
I know
the
you
phone,
can.
right? So that was like, that's just been in me. Everybody doesn't like people. Everybody doesn't want to be around people all the time. I get it.
Actually, Robert Kiyosaki said that business would be so much easier if it wasn't for people.
Yeah, business, exactly. So don't get me wrong. I'm not like I'm cuddling up to random people all the time. I like being around people because I'm curious, and they're funny to me. They're very funny. People, we're funny. We're just, human beings are funny. But all that being said, how do you move it from a transaction to authentic relationship? It is that sense of curiosity. It is that sense of interest. And the more you're interested in other people, the more they'll be interested in you, the right people, right? So, and it takes the pressure off, Craig. You get into a conversation, everybody loves their name. They love to tell their story. So just
Yeah.
start being interested, learning, and that starts to create real relationship. And again, it's a moment that you got to get out of your own comfort zone because it's just not natural to just strike up a conversation for a lot of us with someone we don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I'm as what I guess you call an extroverted introvert. I actually am. I'm perceived as highly extroverted, and I even identify myself that way. But truth be told, I'm also very comfortable being introverted and not.
Mm.
And I do feel a little awkward at times to kickstart a relationship. Some people have asked me, like, do you initiate or do you wait for invitations? And I'm not even sure I know the answer to that. I don't know. I don't know how I would give that best advice to a man or a woman.
It's eye
You know,
contact.
eye
It's eye
contact.
contact, yes. Yeah, that's a starter. And a lot of times, people, it's hard if you lock eyes with someone, then walk the other way. People are like, oh, in a networking environment, right? It's unless
Yes.
it's kind of feels like, okay, they just rejected me. And then most of us, a lot of people are down on their phones scrolling, right? They're not making eye contact. So I think eye contact is the opening. And, you can look like you're interested and then you just say, hi, what's your name? Let the conversation roll from there.
This is so classic. I spent a lot of time working with Dr. Stephen Covey back in another part of my career. And so I'm ingrained with the 7 habits, and habit 5 is the networking one, if you call it that, which is seek first to understand, then to be understood, which is seek first to be interested before you're interesting.
Mhm.
And what you just said, that speaks to genuine curiosity. So this is the second, by the way, this is the second childhood thing that you've brought out as a reference. It's very interesting how these things keep showing up, but genuine curiosity, that is the hallmark of being a child, right? It's like play and be with you're friends with everybody and being curious. I think if you lose your path on curiosity, I think you lose your path.
Mhm.
And if you can be curious in real life, man, you're right. But I love the eye contact as a point. That's a great reminder. A lot of women struggle with negotiating promotions and salaries, and even in sales. What kind of mindset or tactic do you teach to shift from hesitation to ownership?
So we have a whole course on pitch and how to pitch
Ah,
yourself. And so I'm going to pull out some of the elements of that. I think the pitch is understanding, first of all, what is valued. Any type of interaction and negotiation is about exchange of value. So that other
mhm.
party, what is it that's in it for them? What are they looking out for? What's their hot button? What's their problem? What's keeping them up at night? What ignites their passion? And so couching or positioning your pitch within that says that I'm listening and you've got me in mind in what you need.
Mm.
Right. So it's that idea of putting together that pitch that incorporates the value of the second party and then validates what's in it for them and why it's good for you. And so when you're thinking about negotiations and you're thinking about the impact of that, and let's just say an employer agreement, it is about, well, listen, boss, I understand that these are the things that you value over the last 6 months or 12 months or the duration. I've provided these values and I've gone above and beyond. I've gotten that validated by this, and that third person. And I've even looked out in the market and this is what my role is worth. How can we come to an understanding of how we can move my career, my salary, my job, whatever you want. Some people don't want
Right.
money, they want position, they want title forward. Let's collaborate on what that could look like, right? So it's
That's
about bringing the data into it and understanding what's in it for them.
I can see exactly why people will want to spend time with you, because that what you just said is gold, Melissa. That's absolute gold. How do you help someone who's afraid of being seen as too aggressive in a scenario like that?
Oh, I've gotten feedback about that.
That's why I'm asking.
I got feedback about that. It's so interesting. People make up their mind about your value in the first 3 seconds of meeting you, and statistics say in the next 3 to 5 seconds, they've changed their mind about 6 times.
Yeah.
So your presence speaks a lot. And it's not just verbal, it is also visual.
Yeah.
So the idea of smiling, the idea of leaning in, your nonverbals can communicate that a lot, right? So understanding all the factors that shape people's perception of the message they're hearing, the tone of voice.
Yes.
Because if you have a very, and I tend to, I can be a velvet hammer. I mean, I really can. And I've had to work on that. I type an email out, Craig, and I have to tell myself, Melissa, go put some lipstick on it, put some jewelry on it. Don't just
Wow.
send it out that way, because I can't control how people perceive, and that they can't see me, they don't hear my voice. And so it can send the wrong message, even though the content is right? The content is good, but the delivery is another thing. So we have to start just being aware. And I think the key, Craig, is to get feedback. It is the gift of champions. If you will receive it and ask for it frequently, how did that go? What could I have done better? What did you take from that? I said this. What did you think? It'll help you get data to then know, okay, this is how I can soften my approach. This is how I need to be more clear and direct. People, I said one thing and they thought something else. I'm not clear.
Yeah.
I'm talking around myself. I'm talking in circles. I'm not direct enough, right? You get all of this data. And again, being an explorer, you start to be like, oh, let me see what I can create. And again, I have to caveat things, because again, your listeners are in different places and people say, oh, that's just posturing yourself to be someone you're not. No, it's not. It's still very authentic, but it's reading the room, understanding that you delivering is just part. The other part, and most important, is did they receive message to sender? If they didn't, you're never going to get past step one.
In the last couple of minutes right there, you just delivered a master class, Melissa.
Mhm.
That's like master class. I was taking notes. Authentic curiosity, seek feedback, explore. You're putting every question I've asked you prior to this, you're starting to stack it together and show its actual, the immensity of the power of what you're saying. They sound simple, but unless they're packaged together, this is what I believe, is that everything you ever needed is all out there. People don't pay for information. What they pay for is how it's put together to actually get you what you want.
That's why AI will never be human,
No.
because it's just that exact point. Yes.
Yeah, no, you're brilliant, and I'm loving this so much. One of the things I love about my leadership team here, my boss is ever the guy that's seeking feedback and giving it, and the co-founders, they are always looking for data and feedback, and they have lots of things that they give and share. We can get into hard conversations, but the recovery is so fast because the intention is good. And one of the things I personally don't resonate well with is constructive criticism. I actually don't believe that there's anything constructive about anything that's criticism.
Mhm.
But what I do believe is that well-intended feedback,
Yes.
it's the same thing as the words using explore, right? It's that, and that's what I just heard you say, is you seek well-intended feedback.
Yes.
You have to be curious and go get it.
Absolutely.
And you've said that. So you're like giving a master class on how to step up into leadership as a woman stepping into your own to try to create something for yourself. These are core values and core behaviors you're going to want to have. I love this. Thank you for that. You said that that sponsorship is even more important than mentorship. What's the difference, and how do women seek out both?
So mentors are great because they're going to be the ones that are going to be truth tellers. They're going to be the ones that you can have safe space with, and they're going to be able to guide you based on their lived experience, right? So here's a great book. Here's what happened when I was in that situation or circumstance. Here's what I've learned in my journey of building the business or doing such X, Y, and Z, right? So they're great for bouncing off ideas, getting feedback, getting resources, so on and so forth. The sponsor is got the weight of the reputation of their brand, and they will leverage it strategically. So they want to be able to advocate for those that they believe in, that they know, like, and trust, but also they want to support you moving forward, and they have the access, the doors. Sometimes mentors do as well, to create new opportunities. So leveraging sponsor relationships is key because they have access, but they want to put their backing behind a product that they believe in. So your mentor is helping you get your product ready.
Got it. Now I'm clear on that difference. our CEO is a like incredibly influential, highly connected on a global scale kind of a guy, and he can open lots of doors. But like anybody else, your product's gotta be worthy of that door opening.
Yeah.
So that's crystal clear. That's awesome. That's really, really good. Can you recall somebody that advocated for you behind the scenes in your life that was really like did some heroic advocating for you?
Oh gosh, I've had many. Being someone who came from the corporate space, but now is an entrepreneur and competes with companies that are a lot bigger than me, there is no way we would have gotten into the doors of the Fortune 500 companies that we've gotten into that we work with, whether it's been Procter and Gamble or Google or Walmart. I mean, just different companies without someone inside being a champion. As a matter of fact, that's what I look for. I look for not just champions of me, but who are champions of change. That's what I represent. So it's really important when you're targeting those that you will do business with, that they are aligning with your values and they are aligned with the why behind your work. You are an ally and advocate for the work of well-being and fintech, FinFit for your life, your work aligns with that, right? So finding the right people that align with that, it makes it easier. You're not selling, you're just aligning. You're becoming
Right.
allies in a cause that's bigger than both of you. So I have found that has been a secret strategy to breaking into these companies is finding the alignment with the right people. It's actually alignment is one of the core values within our leadership platform. It is alignment because acceleration happens with alignment. When you don't, friction, and it's like you're bumping your head against the wall.
I am writing that down right now because I 100% times a million agree with that acceleration happens with alignment. And you've said alignment and allies
Mhm.
several times in our conversation already. I have it from the early onset, and the two words are the same, right? It's like you have allies. Why are they allies? Because they're aligned with you, and it's the same word, same root. And then you just said the magic. Why do you do that? Because acceleration happens with that, and it could be sponsorship, it could be mentorship,
Mm.
it's pure confidence. You're writing a book here. This is
I
this
literally
is
am writing a book right now.
no, I know, but it's even happening right here, and it's a beautiful thing for me to be sitting in here listening to this and hearing you paint these pictures. This is fantastic, and that's an important thing.
You're a great interviewer, and it's the Malcolm Gladwell effect, right? 15, was it 30,000 hours? I put a lot of reps
Yeah,
into this content because it's what I coach, it's what I do, and
yeah,
it's become muscle memory.
yeah. It's clear your expertise is on clear display, and I'm really grateful that you're sharing it with me and with my growing community. Because for the real of life is that somebody says something at some point that sparks us. We all need a constant spark. Every day we wake up with some different emotion or different attitude. And we need something that sparks us. And so if it's the you got this sign, or if it's something that somebody sees here from what you said, because I think you've said about 25 things that are accelerants, they're
Mhm.
sparks. And so I'm really grateful that you're here doing this, because my community is a lot of aspirational would-be entrepreneurs, micro entrepreneurs trying to build a financial services business. And, this is a world that a lot of people don't know much about money. You're familiar with this because I know that your husband is in that industry. So this is a lot of fun to do, but they need the guidance and the wisdom, and they need to see success. And you represent entrepreneurial bravery and success and dogged fightness, whatever the word is, and I'm just super impressed. Let me ask you this question: women always seem to carry a double workload at work and at home. What are your best practices for setting boundaries while still thriving?
I've had some missteps on this one. It's
Okay.
hard. Several things that I have learned and that I am putting into practice and I'm growing in every day. Number one is getting clear on my non-negotiables.
Mm.
There was a time my husband works out too, and after I'd come out of surgery, he said, what do you need from me? And I said, I need you to give me the mornings. I need you to give me the mornings. And there's a time he came back to renegotiate that contract. And I was like, no, this is a non-negotiable for me, right? I need the mornings to get my workout in, right? But so clear on your non-negotiables. I think too is having those conversations, saying, what is it that I really need you to step in and help on? Where is it that we should outsource? Is that even possible? If not, can someone step in to help? But being really clear, like, you are not superwoman. You cannot do everything and you need sleep. So we often are in shift mode, like work mode, and then kids mode, and then clean mode, and then spouse mode, and then, follow up on this. And before you know it, you've run out of time. So non-negotiables, have hard conversations, find out who you can delegate to, or, get some of that work off of your plate. And then the other piece last is just give yourself grace, because it's just not going to all get done. And God willing, you have another day and you can pick it back up tomorrow. But that's what we do.
I love that. The grace part is the fluidity of that.
Mm-hmm.
But having clear boundaries is a grown-up thing in real life, right? It is, because it's so easy to not have them. If you're empathic and you're set up that way, it's sometimes normal to have fluid boundaries, and that will always come back to bite you.
Yeah.
And as you grow up and people take advantage of you and your time and your goodness and your own grace and all of that, boundaries become preeminent. They become absolutely necessary. And the other thing that you said that I love so much is that self-care boundary, non-negotiable, is your source for constant energy.
Yes. And there are times when I don't keep my commitments, but I pay for it, especially on that one.
Well, but you give yourself grace.
I give myself grace.
Right?
But I have to realize, like, why is it that these things my energy is off, for example? And then I have to realize it's because, right? So just go back to it and say, okay, then I know how to fix that.
Yeah, but you have to cycle through that. Everybody does.
Everybody does. But you don't even, unless you understand that is a key to fueling you, you may not even know that's what you're missing.
Nice.
Some women don't even know that's what it is that's missing.
Yeah, that's wise advice right there. And you know how you figure that out? Go take a walk.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that begins to bring it apart, or bring it into focus. Okay, so you have a sense, because of the companies you work with, the powerful women that you work with, the influence that they wield, the observations, the networking, all of that, lots of trends and insights bubble up to you. And so you become a keeper of a lot of this information, and you start to see some things because of where you stand in the general conversation. Looking forward, what trends, whether it's AI or hybrid work or wellness, what are game changers for women who want to lead, and how can they prepare?
That's a good one. Outside the ones that you've mentioned, I think that a big game changer is going to be leading from the inside out, right? That it's not a title or a position. It really is about defining success on your terms. And you start to see that play out, interestingly enough, with women. I think about the trend that's in Instagram and TikTok is the soft life. If you heard of the soft life, but it's women saying, I want a soft life, meaning I don't want to work hard. I don't want to do all of the things, which the grind culture of entrepreneurship was the fantasy we were selling: hustle hard, work hard. And now you hear women saying, I want a soft life. And the antithesis of that grind is, I want to slow down. I want to have time. I want to enjoy the journey. I don't want to just hustle to a destination. And that comes from women stepping back and saying, is this really serving me? Is this really, and is there another way? Right? I believe that there is another way. You can't have it all. It's just not at the same time. And so how do you do it a different way? So to me, in terms of leadership, that is the new approach. It's from the inside out. It's not from what the outside in. Everyone tells you you're crowned a leader, and then you become that. You've got to determine it. We just recently went through a rebrand, and our new logo for Velvet Sweet is a lion. And I love lion. Actually, I'm drinking out of the Lion King cup.
There you go. All right.
Usually wear hair really big. It looks like a lion. I love the lion. It's an inspirational animal. When I was delivering my son, I had the Lion King playing. Like, it was a whole thing. Like,
well, we just We just entered lion season, I think yesterday.
Oh, okay.
We're in the Leo
There
season.
it is. There it is.
Yeah.
And my son is a Leo. So, all that being said, my mentor, the late Dr. Miles Monroe, would say, "Why is the lion the king?" And that was a question he would ask. And I'd say, "Okay, is the lion the biggest?
No.
The biggest. Is the lion the strongest? Is the lion the fastest?"
No.
Not the biggest, strongest, or the fastest. So why is the lion the king? And the lion is a king because the lion says, "I am." Everybody else says, "Okay," right? And the lion is symbolic for leadership. So it's literally about not waiting for someone to tell you, you are king, you are lion, and you are leader. It's an identity. You own it. And everyone else will begin to respond in the way that you step into that role. So to me, that is the new standard for leadership, is that it is an identity. It is not a title or position.
That is pure gold, Melissa. That's pure gold. Thank you for that. Uh, there's so many things to run with that. I read a book in 1998 called Leadership from the Inside Out. That's what it was. And it was the game changer book for me. And it wasn't because the book was so good. It wasn't the biggest, it wasn't the strongest, and it wasn't the fastest. But you know what happened in that book? I was writing with it. I was living the book. I wasn't just reading it. And in that book, I had a defining moment of my life where I determined what I was king of, if you will, what I was on this planet for. And every day since that, for 28 years, I have continued to stack and build from that.
Look how you have impacted lives. Look at how your career has ascended. Look at what's happened because you made that decision. We weren't there. None of us were there.
I didn't know it until then, and now I don't know anything else but that. And it's so that what you just said is a thing that people, how do we get people to that place where they say, "I am the lion"? How do we get people to that place where they say, this is what I'm about? That can happen. Everything else in the world can happen for them. How do we get them there? How does Melissa Simkins and She Suite and a retreat and a magazine, how do you get them there?
Well, none of that. That all happened after, right? It literally started with me getting clear on my why. Purpose drives performance. That's the formula.
Yeah.
It's the why that drives the work. And we have not been engineered or trained that way. It's get the title, first of all, get the degree, get the expertise, be validated that you have the skill, you get the title, and then you walk into whatever they tell you is success for that job. And then they tell you your worth when they're done with you. And then what's left, right? It's the system of work that we've built everything on. So we're totally creating a counterculture approach to coming clarity for yourself and then using that to navigate and to position yourself, right?
And then you get so dang tired of that you want the soft life because because in the soft life, the inference there is balance, which balance does, but you also said it, which is kind of cool. You didn't say balance at all times. You said seasonally.
That's
like that there's a time and a space for the different things, but that creates kind of balance over life.
Yes. So within our product offering, which is called Leadership Arena, we have what we call sprints. So there are courses that happen in 10-week windows, but you have a sprint of recovery too. That's how athletes, they can't perform high performance all the time. They got to have a time of recovery. And so we need to have that. And that's why seasons change. It might be a priority this time, but next year it's not. And that's okay.
Amazing. This is really a phenomenal conversation. I want to ask you one last question. If you could sit across from Melissa Dawn Simkins at 25 years old, or another 25-year-old who's listening to this conversation right now, what would you say to spark her power?
I'm literally thinking about where I was when I was 25 and where I was sitting behind a desk in a cubicle at 25. I would tell her two things. One is that everything you need is already in your hand. You just have to learn how to work your hand. And that has been the journey of taking risk, doing the thing. And being okay if it's not perfect and getting back up again. And the other thing I would tell her is to enjoy the ride. Enjoy, find joy in, what a gift it is to be able to have the problems of doing the work that you really enjoy. What a privilege that is. Even though it's hard, even though it's grueling, even though it's taxing, it's what you love. What a privilege it is to have time to laugh and enjoy the journey, the simple things, the flowers, the funny post on Instagram, like the things that just make you, the hugs with your kids or with your spouse, like enjoy it. Just enjoy it. So those are the two things.
Well, I hope that 25-year-old you is actually watching this and listens, or a version of you, because I think the world's a better place because you are in it and affecting people to be better, to think clearer, to act more intently with purposeful outcome. Being around someone like you is beyond a blessing, because it's wise, it's compassionate, it's purposeful, and it's perspective. Like, I can see why someone could spend a little time with you and immediately feel like a better person. I do. I mean, we've spent an hour, and the first time I talked to you, I felt that way. And so I'm grateful for our friend recommending that we get together. I really enjoyed this conversation, Melissa. Thank you for
You're great, by the way. Thank you. You made it easy and it flew by.
Awesome. Well, listen, when there's as much available to a conversation as you offer right up front, it is so easy to have a conversation and with you. This has been just amazing, and I think there's going to be a lot of beautiful content in short form and in the whole long form that I think people will seek and listen to and gain value from. So thank you for your brilliance, your boldness, your blueprint for purpose-driven leadership. Your message today wasn't just empowering. It was a call to action for every single woman to own her power, prioritize her well-being, and lead with intention, like an athlete. And so to our listeners and viewers, if something sparked you today, don't let it fade. Take something, one thing, or a couple things that Melissa shared, and act on it this week, whether it's building your own personal brand, prioritizing your health, or finally owning your value. It's your time, and that's now. So this is your moment. This is your time to create your movement. And as we say in FinFit life, wealth and wellness do go hand in hand, and we do life differently. And you can see the kind of amazing humans that we bring into it. We do life absolutely differently. Until next time, stay bold and stay well, and keep igniting your revolution. And we will see you on the next episode of Fit Talks. Thanks very much.